Welcome to fall. The colors of the trees are turning. It's beautiful, and it's inspired me to talk a little bit about building and picking your building colors. So obviously different materials have repercussions on cost and maintenance and color selection, but let's say for a moment that you could have infinite choices of any color in any materials. How do you narrow it down? How do you design a building facade that looks beautiful? So here's a few techniques you can use. Number one, contrast. Without going into the whole color theory, but opposites attract and opposites complement each other. So dark colors with lights, red with white, yellow and blue, opposites attract. So use that tool. And stark colors have impact. So you can use contrasting in color, you can use contrast in texture and material, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Kind of like this picture where the black with the cedar or birch is a really stark contrast and a very popular choice these days. The next tool you can use is shadow. So a building without details can look very stark and modern for many. So shadow can be created to have an effect on the facade. So shadow can be created with very dynamic, very drastic, big overhangs, or subtle board and batten and trims all create shadow. So as you can see in this simple window detail, that the recess of the window creates a heavy shadow on the top, and plays into a bit of the contrast tool, where you have a lot of flat and you have texture on top of each other, and a little bit of stone for added contrast. Next, you can use texture. So one of the reasons many people are attracted to traditional architecture is that there's a lot of detail. There's lots to look at. And detail in our modern buildings can be recreated with modern twists. So as you can see in this building, it would have been a very flat and plain facade, but all it took was a few differences in the wood cladding texture and rhythm, and it gives it character. And a simple change in direction can also change building's facade. So using the same material but changing direction is a change in texture. Lastly, I want to talk about rhythm. You may not be able to keep a beat, but your building can for you. So it can keep a nice even beat or dance to whatever beat it wants. So rhythm doesn't need to be dull and nice and even. Interruptions to the beat really stand out. That's where we start to play into that contrast. They create interest. So here's a facade that keeps it nice and even, but interjects with open and partially open and closed moments of that rhythm. So try some of these tools, and if you're looking for a modern aesthetic, but be careful not to mix and match too many. Pick one and fully commit. And if you need more inspiration, you can head over to our Pinterest boards. We've got more ideas there. And of course, when we work with you, we definitely take you through the options, and we make sure we pick materials that work for your other needs as well as your aesthetic desires. So have a lovely fall and enjoy the colors.